series on mental health ASMR. I've been reflecting on the concept of self-worth lately. I also saw Anna Akana's video on this topic. I'll link it in the description because her ideas really resonate with mine, and I will occasionally refer to her video. In this video, I would like to share my thoughts on self-worth and some possible ways of gaining more self-worth. I am not a professional. I do not claim that what I say is true or correct or helpful, but I do make these videos to try and help you, and I also make them for me because I'm still growing, learning, and trying to better myself every day. And I hope that we can do that together in some way. So, what is self-worth? Let's start with that. Self-worth is the sense of your own value and your own worth as a person. And so, in that sense, self-worth has to do with self-acceptance, self-love, self-esteem, self-value, self-respect. Now, why is it important? I've been thinking about it, and I think to me, self-worth has, because it has to do with self-esteem and self-love, it is some sort of counterweight to many of the negative feelings that I struggle with. So self-worth for me has to do with confidence and with less stress, less worries, because even if everything falls away, you will always have yourself. You'll always have yourself and your self-worth, and that is enough. And if you have self-worth, you know that that is enough, and that's a really comforting thought. And so, self-worth for me is a counterweight to my fear of failure, because your failure doesn't define your self-worth. Your failures, your achievement do not define your worthiness. And so that's why self-worth is important. But what is the problem for many people is that we often let our self-worth depend on external factors. For instance, what we look like, or how many friends we have, or what other people think of us, or other external factors. We let our self-worth often depend on our productivity, whether or not we have good grades at school, or whether we are successful at work, Our self-worth depends on how many cool, awesome things we did this weekend and the crazy stories we can share on social media or with our colleagues or with our friends. And for some people, self-worth is linked with status, so how much money you make, or what car you drive, an impressive job, or maybe how well your children are doing in school. Or for some of us, self-worth has to do with what we look like, with makeup, with our bodies. And the reason why this is a problem is because you let your self-worth depend on others. You seek validation with others and not within yourself. You try to impress others, but all of these things can be very stressful. They can ask a lot of energy. And most importantly, these things can fall away. And when your self-worth depends on these things, on your career or your how many friends you have or what you look like, and that falls away, then your self-worth goes away as well. So that's why it's a problem. And so the goal would be, in my opinion, the goal would be to not have your self-worth depend on external factors. Meaning that if you had a productive weekend, or a productive day, or a productive week, that's awesome. But if that wasn't the case, that's fine as well. And if you had good grades on your test, that's good. But if you didn't, if you failed a class, or you didn't get a certain job, your worthiness does not depend on that. You are still as worthy. Now, I'm not saying to use this as an excuse to just sit in your couch, to sit in your sofa and have no ambition. Of course, you want to live your best life and try and be a good person, and that's okay. But be gentle to yourself and forgive yourself for your flaws, because your flaws do not define your worthiness. Your flaws do not define your worthiness. Your flaws do not define your worthiness. Even if everything you have falls away, your career, your friends, your family, your support system, even your dreams, your passions, all of your contributions to the world, the way you help other people, if all of that falls away, you're still worthy as a person, and you always will be. You have inherent value. You are enough just the way you are. At your core, you are worthy. You are worthy. You are worthy. And you are enough. Just how you are. You are worthy else say, no matter what you look like. You are worthy right now, in this instance. Not when you get your degree or when you've lost a few pounds. No, you are instant. You are worthy. In this instance, you are worthy right now. Now that is of course easier said than done. I've also been reflecting on how we can reach that state of self-worth. And I came up with a few ways. The first one is a bit complex, and this is where I would like to refer to Anna Akana's video, because she says it brilliantly. She says that we can gain self-worth by taking responsibility for our own life, circumstances, and problems, and by acknowledging that we have the personal power to shape our reality in the image that we want. I have definitely not reached that state yet. And in a way it's scary to me, because if you are responsible for your own life and your own decisions, your own actions, your problems, then you can't blame anybody or anything else. And that can create a feeling of pressure and fear of failure. But when you think about it, it's also very freeing and liberating, because you're not dependent on others for your life, your circumstances, and your problems. So if you got yourself into a mess, you can also get yourself out. You do not need anybody else. You are responsible. And that is freeing. You do not need validation, permission, or approval of anybody else. I seek validation in others, but by doing so, I'm undermining my self-worth. Because you don't need validation of others. You don't need validation, permission, or approval by anybody else. Your own feelings, gut feeling, choices, decisions are good enough. So, the other way that we can gain more self-worth is by self-reflection. This sounds very heavy, but it doesn't have to be. But it is true, I believe, that if we constantly distract our minds from deep thoughts, that we're not all of a sudden gonna wake up with a bunch of self-worth. If we constantly watch videos, play games, party, drink, scroll through social media, if we constantly distract our brain from our problems or our thoughts, then, like I said, we're not all of a sudden gonna wake up with a bunch of self-worth. It is valuable to stand still from time to time and to reflect on yourself, on your life, on your actions, your values, and to act yourself that from time to time. Actively acknowledge your worthiness. Actively acknowledge your worthiness. Now, I'm not telling you to meditate every day. If you want to do that, that's fine. But you can also reflect on yourself and your life while you're driving or when you're walking. But I just recommend to take some time for it from time to time. And then the third way to gain self-worth is to do things that you love just because you love them. Not because you feel like you have to do them, or because you're being productive, or because you're competing someone, or because someone expects this from you, or because it will get you somewhere. No, do things just because you like them, you love them. Because when you do things that you love, you tell yourself you are worth your time and you are worth your energy. Worth. You are worth. You are worthy. You are worth your time and your energy. This, of course, is different for everybody. What doing what you love means. I can imagine maybe for someone it would be to buy nice shoes just because you want them, just to treat yourself. For me, that would be a bad example because buying shoes is 100% linked to productivity in my mind, and it's a chore. But I can imagine for some people working out is something they do to work on their bodies, on their health, or maybe to compete with someone. But for me, working out, and especially dancing, is just for fun, just because I love it. So I encourage you to find what you love just for you. And to spend enough time doing these kind of things. So, that were my thoughts on the concept of self-worth and how to grow in that area. I hope that this video was helpful for you and that it helped you with your self-reflection, whether you agree with my thoughts or not. I hope you at least got some time to reflect. I would like to know your thoughts and your experiences so that we can learn and grow together. Learn and grow together. You can always leave a comment or email me if you want. As always, I wish you all the best, and I hope to see you soon in my next